Until rather recently, if you wanted wireless transmission from your camera, you were paying well over $1,000 for even the most basic system. Hollyland is changing that. They are a wireless transmission company that has brought high-quality wireless transmission to the indie market. Today we're going to talk about two of their Hybrid Pro models, the Mars 300 Pro and the Mars 400S Pro. My goal in this video is to tell you where these transmitters may be a good fit and where they may not be, as well as we'll walk you through all the features and limitations of both of these transmitters so you can parse out which of these transmission products might be right for you. But before we go any further, let's walk you through a brief overview of both transmitters. First up is the Mars 300 Pro. I have the enhanced model here that includes antennas for the transmitter, giving you a more reliable transmission. This is an HDMI only transmitter. It's on the 5 GHz band and rated for 300 feet via line of sight. By contrast, the 400S Pro inches closer to Hollyland's professional line. It sports both SDI and HDMI, a more robust metal build, and an RTSP protocol for streaming out through a network. Let's talk about what both of these transmitters have in common, which first up is their incredible mobile app. Through this app, you can have up to 4 devices when not using the receiver, or 2 devices plus the receiver. The app features a lot of really great image tools, and you can even do screen grabs and full recordings right to your mobile device. There are some caveats, however. The first being latency. The transmitters have a very low latency in general, around 8 milliseconds. Now that doesn't mean your overall delay will be 8 milliseconds. That's just the transmitter, which makes up only part of your latency chain. Surprisingly, the latency over Wi-Fi is very low. After that, you'll have your best performance with SDI and then with HDMI. Despite the surprisingly low latency of the Wi-Fi signal, I still feel a little apprehensive in recommending that you pull focus off of the Wi-Fi signal, even though the evidence would suggest that you could very easily and fairly accurately do so. And the reason is that Wi-Fi in its nature is a little bit unreliable, and you also lose signal length when you go with the Wi-Fi signal versus going to the actual receiver. So if you've brought a first AC on set who's manually pulling focus, then my suggestion is to go with the 400S Pro through SDI, which will give you the least amount of latency. HDMI by nature has a lot of extra latency in it, but going 400 Pro with the SDI should give you your best balance of latency to reliability. The second issue that I could see is that the wireless transmission requires you to connect to Hollyland's own Wi-Fi signal, meaning that you'll lose the internet Wi-Fi on your phone while using the app, and switching back and forth could likely be annoying. Moving on to power, both transmitters can be powered the same way, either through the very popular Sony NPF batteries, USB-C, or hardline in to DC. However, what I feel is lacking, at least from the 400S Pro, is an included DTAP to DC in. Now, that's an easy solution. You can buy separately a DTAP to NPF dummy battery, and that fixes that, and they're fairly inexpensive. Now let's talk about what sets these two transmitters apart. First up is the build quality. The 300s are nice and light thanks to their plastic housing. Naturally, this may also cause long-term durability issues if dropped or hit. The 400S Pro has a very solid metal housing and design that protects the SDI port from impact. In both transmitters, you only get one rigging point, but the 300 has an included accessory that gives you another point on the front. This isn't really an issue if you're using an articulating arm, but if you're not, then you may run into some issues. There's one instance beyond range where the 300 pulls ahead, and that is with the HDMI pass-through on both the transmitter and the receiver. The 400S Pro strangely lacks this. Now, it's not a deal breaker, but it could create latency and other issues in a more demanding production setting. My guess is that this was a way for the company to make sure that the 400S Pro didn't start cannibalizing sales from their higher-end professional line. Now, another difference is that the 400S Pro can be used for streaming. The 400S Pro's receiver can send out an IP address that you can then wire to a network via USB-C to Ethernet dongle. Used with apps like vMix, VLC, and OBS, you can view directly on your internal network or stream out to the web. The application that I can see for this beyond streaming is for clients and agencies that might be in the same building, but they're out of range, or they're not in the same city, or they can't be on set due to COVID restrictions. In terms of battery, I had the 400S Pro on set with me recently, and we didn't change the transmitter battery until about 8 hours in. In that time, we never shut the transmitter off. In terms of usability, both transmitters operate quite similarly. However, the 400S Pro is much easier to use thanks to its big display and buttons. The 300 retails for $550 Canadian and the 400S Pro retails for $770 Canadian, which I think are both excellent deals. Now, I don't think that they replace a Teradek Ace or Bolt system because those products have zero latency and also a bunch of really critical tools for professional film or broadcast. But if you are an independent shooter, producer, then having something like the 300 Pro is really an incredible tool. I certainly enjoyed using the 400S Pro in a more demanding environment and had really no issues whatsoever. So it's a great product for those who use both mirrorless and cinema camera setups. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope this video helped you decide between these two wireless products. And as always, please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this and comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about these wireless transmitters or any wireless transmitter experience you've had. That's it. I'm out. Peace.